Hello, and welcome to RuPaul's Drag Race Rejudged, where today I will be going through All Stars 8 with the format of All Stars 2 through 4. That means we will have a top 2 format, a returning challenge, and no fame games. So let's get started. First up, we have the Episode 1 Girl Groups Challenge. I decided to go with Kahana Montrese and Lala Ree for the top 2 based off their performances. They were both the best in their groups. I kept Alexis as high, James as low. Kahana wins the lip sync to Freakum Dress and sends home Monica. Next up is the Episode 2 Acting Challenge. I think Heidi would get the top 2 slot with Kasha missing out based off her runway. Kahana and Naysha are in the bottom. Heidi wins the lip sync to Shebop against Jimbo and sends home Naysha Lopez. Next up, we have the Episode 3 Ball. I went with Heidi and Jessica for the top 2 because I think they had the clearest, best 2 packages overall, and I chose Kahana as third because I think she slightly outperformed Jimbo with the final look. I decided to place Candy as low because I think she did the worst out of everyone excluding Darian and Kasha, but Jessica wins the lip sync to Coconuts against Heidi and sends home Mrs. Kasha Davis. Next up, we have episode 4, which is the TV Pilots Acting Commercial Challenge. I decided to pick Jimbo and Candy as the top 2 based on performances and a general desire to even out the spread of wins. Candy and Jimbo lip sync to Bad Reputation. Candy wins and sends home Darian Lake. Next up, we have episode 5, which is the Snatch Game of Love. I personally would have gone with Alexis and Jimbo as the top 2, but the poll overwhelmingly put James in the other slot, so she is. Heidi quits, Jessica and Kahana are in the bottom. James wins the lip sync to Hallucinate and sends home no one. Next up, we have episode 6, which is the Rusical. I decided to put Candy and Lala as the top 2 because I think overall they had the strongest performances, with Alexis as third and Jessica very close behind. While I considered doing a top 4 bottom 2 here, I decided to put Jessica as safe, Kahana as low with James and Jimbo in the bottom. Lala wins the lip sync to I'm Not Perfect and I believe would send home James here. Next up, we have the episode 7 Improv Challenge. I decided to put Jessica and Lala as the top 2 because I think they were very clearly the best 2 with Jimbo as a solid third. For the bottom, and I know this might be controversial, I decided to go with Kahana and Candy. I think that while Candy and Alexis were the worst 2 in the challenge, Alexis had a relatively strong runway, and I couldn't really justify keeping Kahana another week when she was underperforming compared to her castmates at that point. Next up, we have the Episode 8 Design Challenge. I think Alexis and Jimbo were the clear top 2 here, which unfortunately for Jessica puts her in the bottom 3 because at this point, if you're not in the top, you're in the bottom. I think Alexis wins this lip sync and still sends home Lala for whatever reason she sent home Lala in the original timeline. Next up, we have episode 9, which in this timeline is the talent show. While it is controversial, I'm gonna keep the top 2 of James and Lala Ree. Since Jessica Wilde is not competing in this talent show, I think James is the next realistic option with Darian as a close third. James Mansfield and Lala Ree lip sync to Rain on Me. Lala wins and returns to the competition. Next up, we have episode 10, which is the roast. Jessica and Jimbo win. I think Lala would do well, just not as well as the 2 of them. This puts Lala, Alexis, and Candy in the bottom. Jimbo and Jessica lip sync to Freakazoid. I think Jimbo still pulls it off in this timeline. And I think Jimbo chooses to send home Alexis for her bad reasoning for sending home Lala. Next up, we have episode 11, which is the Makeover. Jessica Wilde and Candy Muse are the clear top two here, which places Jimbo and Lala in the bottom. I believe Candy wins this lip sync and sends home Lala to honor her alliance with Jimbo, and because Lala is a returning queen. Now we have a top three of Jessica Wilde, Jimbo, and Candy Muse. I don't really know how a fan vote would go down with this group, but I feel like Jimbo wins with Jessica close behind. Moving on to the track record table, Jessica has 4 wins and 2 bottoms, putting her score at 6.4. Jimbo has 5 wins and 2 bottoms, putting her score at 6.9. And Candy Muse has 3 wins and 3 bottoms, putting her score at 5. I think Jessica Wilde, Jimbo, and Candy Muse all make top 3 in this timeline. They battle it out for the crown, and just like in real life, Jimbo wins. That is all for this video, so on that note, hey, it's Redacted. Do you want non-Emmy nominated gay shit? Well then subscribe to Drag Race Rejudged.